Hi, welcome to this video, and in this video I'll be talking about how to deal with your partner's ex. This is a topic that I was asked by someone to talk about. They wanted to hear what I had to say about this, and that's why I want to talk about it. And by the way, if there's any topic you want me to handle, just give it in the comment section or inbox me, and I will talk to you about it. I'll talk about it in the channel. So this is something I'll be talking about. I'll be talking about it in three parts in this video. And first, before I go to the points, I have the three parts I have for this. If you're new here, my name is Grace, and all I talk about in this channel are things to do with creating a good foundation for marriage, and especially even before you get married. And so even when I'm talking about your partner's ex, I'll mostly dwell on when you're dating, not in marriage. But some of the things are things you can relate with if you're already married. But if you can deal with them before you get married, the better. All right. So if you're interested in such kind of content, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of our content. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for those who've already subscribed. We feel your support and we are grateful. For those who like our videos, those who are giving comments, we appreciate. Yes, so before I start on the first point, it's good I mention that as much as I'll be telling you about what to look from your partner, it is important that after you have watched this whole video, you sit down and look at yourself. Ask yourself, if it was your partner who was watching this video, how would they rate you? What would they think about you when it comes to the ex you've had, the people you have dated before? Yeah, so look at it from your point, looking at your partner and the ex they have had, but also at the end, make sure to look at yourself from your partner's lens and ask yourself, if they were to rate you, how would they say your relationship with your exes is? Okay, yeah, so may it be a two-way process, because we all have a life. If you've not yet dated before, this is your first relationship, well and good, but most of us, by the time we are dating the person we want to get married to, we've had 3, 4, sometimes even more ex-partners. So it's good to also look at yourself and see where you are at as a person. But also it's good to know that being concerned about your partner's ex is very normal. It is okay. It's only the extent to which you are getting and how you are handling the matter that matter. Okay, yes, so let's get started. The first thing, which I have mentioned in some of my other videos, is you need to discuss about your ex, like your partner's ex. So you can have a date. You can also talk about it casually and just get to know your partner's past. Okay, so you get to know when who they have dated before, getting to know even things. If someone started dating when they were in high school, just get to know, even if it was casual or they dated in campus or after campus, just get to know what is their past like, how many people they have dated, to what extent did they get to being engaged, did they get introduced to the ex's family, you know, those extents. To what level did the relationship get to? Were they physically intimate? If yes, are there children involved? Because trust me, you don't want to be in a relationship for 2-3 years and then you realize there is a baby mama or there is a baby daddy in the situation and you didn't know about it. Or for the man, when you're going to pay dowry is when now you're realizing there's actually a child involved, you know, all that drama. You don't want it. So just get to know if there's a child involved, you know, all that. Did they get physically intimate and such? Get to know also how things ended, who ended the relationship and why. right? Also get to hear this. You might not need to ask, but just listen to how your partner is explaining to you about their past relationship and see whether they are owning up to mistakes or whatever caused them the relationship to come to an end. Are there things they overlooked? You know, because if someone is the perfect one through all the relationship, then that's a problem, right? If someone is hiding, they don't want you to know about their past, they're just like, don't worry, that relationship ended, you'll never hear anything about it, that is already a problem. If you get to know that someone had maybe a child out of wedlock and they never told you about it, and you're already dating in a relationship, that is already a problem, right? So get to know how things ended, when they ended, when they were dating, to what extent, so that you don't get surprises along the way. All right. The second thing about your ex-partner is know about current status. So someone was dating and they broke up the relationship. Are they still in touch with this person? Okay. And in touch is this way. Maybe they were in the same church, maybe they are colleagues, maybe they're in the same neighborhood, maybe they grew up together, so their homes are close to each other. If that is the case, you know, that is someone you'll frequently meet. But knowing how the relationship is, are they talking? You know, like if someone is talking to their ex every day for like an hour or two, or when they meet for dinner, they meet for lunch, you know, that already shows that they have actually not broken up. Okay, like for example, this is actually not in dating, but I'm just going to show you an aspect. But this was a marriage and a divorce in place. I was listening to something and this person was saying that a relationship, a divorce was cancelled in court because the lady got expectant in the process of you know, divorcing. She got expectant to this person that she wanted a divorce from. So the court said, you guys are not yet serious about breaking up, right? So in the same way, when you are in a relationship with someone and they are still in very close contact with their ex, that is already a problem. It shows they have not yet gotten over each other. All right, so how is their contact? Another thing, some people, especially men, they don't realize how being close to another lady could affect their current relationship. So he might be not realizing. So the thing is this: if you realize that your partner is very close to their ex, you know, those people who call their ex, we are still friends, just that, if they are still friends and you feel uncomfortable, talk to your partner before you end things just because they are friends. Talk to them and tell him or tell her, I am not comfortable with the way things are with you and your ex. You guys are talking a lot. You guys are still meeting for dinner. You're still talking, having lunch and all that. You're still going out to help her and all that stuff. If they are doing anything that is making you uncomfortable, it's already a problem. So if it is a problem to you, talk to your partner. Let them know, I'm not comfortable with this. If they adjust and cut off the close interaction with their ex, then it means they were just ignorant. They didn't know how it would affect the current relationship. But if they refuse, because some people will be like, oh, she's my best friend, he's my best friend, there's nothing going on, we are just friends, our relationship ended, things couldn't work between us. If someone is defending, then you just know very well this is not done and you're the one who will suffer in this relationship. So you can call it off. All right, so how the current status is, the relationship they have with their ex, is something you need to observe and ask yourself, is this something that I can go on with, or is it something I need to let go? Okay, the third aspect is the attitude your partner has towards their ex. And when I talk about attitude, this is not just about the relationship they have, which is what I have talked about. This is especially when you meet. These people have not been in, they are not really relating, they're not friends really. They broke up, but then you meet your partner's ex when you're just with your partner. Number one, how your partner introduces you to their ex. Because you might find yourself being used as a weapon to hurt his or her ex, okay? So just look at how they're introducing yourself. If the body language can tell you whether this person is using you as a weapon. If they go like, hey, how are you? Meet my boyfriend, meet my girlfriend, you know, and it's like they're trying to show them, you know, you left me, but you know what? I got someone better. You know, if someone is doing that, then it means they have not healed. They are using you as a weapon. So they have not healed. They have not gone through the process of healing, meaning they are using you as a rebound. All right? So that verbal or non-verbal communication. Another thing is they might not they might introduce you as my friend, you know, like meet my friend. Of course, right? You know how they introduce you, just, you know, look at it and see whether they are ashamed of saying who you really are. And trust me, this is how I view it. When you're not engaged or you're not married, I don't think there's any need for your partner to say, this is my girlfriend, this is my boyfriend. Of course, when you're already engaged, they can say, this is my fiancé, or this is my wife, this is my husband, you know, to their ex. But when you're just starting off dating, they can just say, this is so and so, meet so and so, meet so and so, right? Then now that is when you have met. After you have met, they now can tell you, by the way, this is so and so that I had told you about, I had dated before. All right? So how they introduce you to, and this is something that happened actually to me. When I started dating my husband, I met my ex. And I just introduced them. I said, hi, this is so and so. Hi, this is so and so. Then after that, I told my husband, that is my ex. That is the guy I told you I dated before. And you know, later on, my ex reached out and he wanted us to date. So I told him, unfortunately, I'd already started dating. And this also goes for, when I'm talking about this, let me add something. This is more like a bonus. Transparency is what will help your relationship when it comes to ex partners. And this calls for your partner as well as you. How transparent are you about this issue? How transparent are they about this issue? And this is not just about people you dated, even people that had interest in you before, or people you had interest in before. For example, I've talked about how I met my ex when I was already dating, and I was with my boyfriend then, who is now my husband, and I told him that is my ex. Another time, there's a guy I talked in one of the videos that I had interest in, but then after one date, he never reached out, he never talked to me. The next thing I know, he had a girlfriend. He was already dating someone and in a very serious relationship. I even thought they'd get married. But he reached out to me later and asked to meet me for lunch. So I told my husband, by then we were dating, I told him, hey, so and so, whom you know, has asked to meet me. Transparency. And I told him if he asks me if I can date him, because now I don't know how his relationship is, but then I knew he had been dating, I will tell him that I'm dating already. But what happened when I went for that meeting, I never got a chance to tell him, because whatever we were talking about wasn't appropriate for me to bring up my relationship. So I didn't tell him, and we never had any other lunch like that. So transparency. If you're meeting your ex, like one of the guys I was also in a kind of situationship with, when he reached out to me that he was getting married and they had a wedding committee, funding and all. I told my boyfriend that I'll be sending this guy some money because he's getting married. I had interest in him, but he moved on. And basically transparency, letting your partner know what your relationship is like with the people who are interested in you, people you're interested in. Basically transparency, even when it comes to ex-partners. If your ex calls and they want to meet up, let your partner know. I am meeting so and so who is my ex, but I'll be transparent. You know, that builds trust when your partner is knowing when and how things are with your ex partners. That way the trust, when it is built and they know, even if they saw you saying hi, they saw you talking, there's no pressure. They know all is well because you are updating them. So that is what I'd say about ex-partners. But it is very normal to feel a bit insecure at times or jealous. But you need to talk about it with your partner when you start getting uncomfortable with how they are handling ex-partners. And as I said, as I was beginning, think about it. If your partner was the one looking at you and asking questions about you, would they look at you as having red flags because of your ex? Or would they be confident that you have healed and you're ready to move into this new journey with commitment for it to work, right? So thank you for watching to the end. If you have any more comments on this, make sure to put in the comment section, because I've basically given you from my own perspective how I handled this issue of exes and what I think is important. And yeah, basically we talked with my boyfriend then about our ex and all that. So how I handled this is how I handled, and I hope you've gotten one or two things that could help you in your current relationship or when you start dating if you're not yet dating. Thank you for watching to the end. I hope to see you in the next video. God bless you.